Greetings you all, it is I, Chief Shadow 1750. Jesus Christ, I never thought that a video something as simple as listing games that I used to like but now I don't would end up being a little bit of a controversy. Well, it happened. Why? Because I included the game Sonic Heroes. Out of all the games that I've listed, Sonic Heroes I kinda saw coming. Well, in some ways the game is mostly considered the most mixed opinion based video game in the Sonic franchise. I've openly stated a couple of times that I absolutely despise this game. Looking back at my video, I wasn't really impressed with the mic quality that I presented, which probably would have affected my points. But now since I got a better mic, I'm gonna go ahead and explain my top reasons on why I hate this game. I can't help but think that this seems somewhat familiar.
Hey guys, this is Shadsoft7 here. Man, I did not expect my top 10 list of most hated Sonic games to cause so much controversy, and this seems to be mainly due to my inclusion of the game Sonic Riders. Sonic Riders of all games. Now, I'm not sure what's baffling to me, how terrible a racing game Sonic Riders is, or the fact that it has so many fans of it. I'm not saying you're an idiot if you like the game, but I'm just perplexed that so many people consider it a good game.
And today I thought I'd talk about a certain comment I made regarding a certain game in a certain video. I am of course referring to the comment I made about Okami. Yes, I don't like it. I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ, yep. I am pulling a Shatsless11 and Josh Scorcher. Yeah, as you probably would have guessed, these two guys also had to explain their reasons on why they hated a certain game. With Shatsless11, it was the game Sonic Riders, and with Josh Scorcher, it was the game Okami. And I know who's going on a fanboy rage right about now. So anyways, without further ado, let's talk about my reasons. To begin with, I want to say that the concept of the game was really good. Several games that I've played only has me play as one character while the computer controls the other in some missions, like in Sly 2 Band of Thieves. So this game utilizes to control 3 characters at one time. Seems like an interesting concept, but man was the execution poor. The first big problem which really affects replay value is the game is far too repetitive. You have a total of 14 levels and 7 bosses, not to mention that you have 4 teams that you could choose from, but they made nothing to make the gameplays for all 4 teams different. Team Dark, Team Rose, and Team Chaotix all seem to be copy and paste of Team Sonic, which was unbelievably lazy. Not to mention that the levels were all exactly the same, like you have to go through the exact levels all over again. It doesn't add replay value, it just makes the game repetitive. This is one thing that I thought Sonic 06 did right. Having all 3 hedgehogs having different gameplays, but at the same time make the levels not as repetitive as what happened here in Sonic Heroes. And since I'm also talking about repetition, I also want to talk about the bosses in the game. God damn it, were they unmemorable. The big problem with some of the bosses is that, mostly in Sonic games, they always tend to be too easy. Here, they were pathetic. It seemed like you got the first 3 bosses, and then they recycled them again, but add a little few upgrades here and there. It doesn't make the bosses creative, it just makes it lazy. And then you got Egg Emperor, who I will say in 3 words, cheapest boss ever. Some of his attacks are sometimes unavoidable, and if he charges at you when you're in the air, you're a sitting duck and you cannot avoid it and you will fall to your death. I've died almost 1,000 times trying to beat this boss, especially with Team Dark. And you may be thinking, is Team Sonic, Team Rose, and Team Chaotix Egg Emperor boss any better? No, they are not. I also want to talk about the final boss, so here's a little bit of a spoiler. I also thought that Sonic Heroes had a terrible final boss, as it was so pathetically easy. It just baffles my mind that you got such tremendous build-up, and yet the payoff is absolutely pitiful. It just leaves me disappointed that a character like Metal Sonic, who has been so popular among many Sonic fans, yet gets a terrible outing in this game. Another problem that really plagued Sonic games, but it really plagued Sonic Heroes, is the camera. The camera I can summarize as uncooperative. It's really hard to describe how bad the camera is, but I will say that it sometimes can push the character in the direction that the camera is facing, so it can be a big problem. There was also times where I actually fell through the platforms and fell into a bottomless pit. Speaking of bottomless pits, that's another problem this game had. The later levels didn't get challenging, they just made it annoying with all the bottomless pits that they crammed in the game. It doesn't make the game challenging, it makes the game annoying. And Final Fortress was an easy guilty part right there. That level was a nightmare for me to deal with. And then we got the voice acting, which I also criticized in the video. Now, out of all my reasons, the voice acting in this game is at the very bottom of my reasons. But why am I bringing it up? Simple. This was easily some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard. It leads me to believe that the voice actors were trying to sound like over the top and cheerful and all that, when in some occasions, they didn't do that. It just made them uninteresting. And also, I also want to bring up that all the voice casts in the history of the Sonic games has always been a mixed bag for me. There were some that I liked and others I hated. But the thing that made the voice acting worse was the writing of the game. The script for the game was so god-awful that it made me feel like I was watching an educational program. And that's not what I want to see when it comes to story writing. I want to see a story and dialogue that makes me feel interested and expands on the story. But instead, I feel like I was watching an episode of The Wonder Pets, which is something that I don't want. So in plain short, the voice acting was just horrendous, and I can't even say any more. I also want to bring up the music real quick. I did admit that the music is actually pretty good, and actually fits into the scenery, and kind of reminds me a lot of a Sonic game. However, there were some pieces of music that I didn't like, and they were mainly in the main themes. I hated the main theme, Sonic Heroes, and I absolutely despised Team Sonic's theme. I really didn't care much for Team Rose's theme. The only ones that were really good were Team Dark and Team Chaotic's theme. Other than that, I did not care for the vocal themes at all. I also want to bring up, a while back, I remember in a video I openly admitted that I hated the song What I'm Made Of. Now, time has passed and my opinion has somewhat changed. I don't hate the song as much as I used to now. I guess the only reason why I hated the song was just because I hated everything from Sonic Heroes, and I was blind of the good things that the game did provide. So that's pretty much my reason. It's an okay song, at least better than Lady Gaga. The story, on the other hand, I can't say the same. Well, there were 4 main storylines, and the only one to me was very interesting was Team Dark. Not because it was Shadow, but it was because these characters had a purpose. Serve a reason why they are going after Eggman. Sonic's was too cliche, Team Rose's was way too predictable, and Team Chaotic's, well, it's a detective case, so I was come to expect that. But then I come to my biggest problem, the one reason why I openly despise this game, and the very nail on the coffin of my hatred. This was the fatal flaw, and that was the controls of the game. What's wrong with the controls? 3 words. Too damn slippery. The best way I can describe the controls is if you're running down a snowfield and then you come across a patch of ice and you're sliding everywhere trying to stop, but you can't. That's pretty much what the controls were in this game. And the controls really plagued in the special stages, which by the way were absolutely horrible. They were trying to represent the special stages that were used in Sonic 2, but the controls just killed it for me. You go everywhere, and if you run into a bomb, it will slow you down and making the runs for the Chaos Emeralds impossible. I managed to get them all by pure luck. That's how bad the controls were. Another main problem with the controls is that making platforming so damn tricky because of these slippery controls. Imagine if you were trying to hop onto one platform and then you go onto another, and then all of a sudden you slide off and fall to a bottomless pit where you die. That's happened to me quite a bit, and it's not because of my poor gaming skills. I tried really hard to speedrun things. I even took my time, and I still had problems with the controls. It's that bad. The grinding was atrocious. Something as simple as switching from rail to rail with the push of the left analog stick and pressing the X button to jump to the other rail. The problem is, sometimes you try to hop onto another rail, it will propel you into another location where you'll fall to your death. This is a big problem, and this was something that I could not overlook. I'm pretty sure that this also played the GameCube and the Xbox version, but I really don't give a shit if I play those versions, because that's how much I hate this game. Controlling both Knuckles and Omega while attacking was really hard to do due to the slippery controls. Sometimes you can attack the enemies, and other times they'll just go all over the place, and then there are times where you actually do attack, but it propels you off course and it will cause you to fall to your death. That's how bad the controls were in the game, and I know a lot of people might disagree with me on this, but I truly hate this game, and now I've explained my reasons why. If you disagree with me on any points of my video, then I can openly accept that. If you disagree with my opinions, that's fine too. I just ask for you to respect my opinions and my reasons why I truly hate this game. I'm not asking you or forcing you to dislike the game, I'm just explaining my reasons why. And now, you know. So with all said and done, I'm Chief Shadow 1750 saying good night, good luck, and Shadow the Hedgehog is way, way, way better than Sonic Heroes in execution.